I've bought a lot of Knipex tools over the years, and while some of them I would buy again in a heartbeat if I lost my whole setup, there are some that I would not waste my money on again. One of the main reasons that I carry Knipex is because of the wide tool selection that they offer. However, this is also the reason that you have to be careful that you actually get the right tool for you. So today I'm going to walk you guys through the tools that I believe are actually worth the money and that I go back to, and which ones you guys should avoid. Now, these first couple are going to be basics, but they are must-haves for Knipex. They're my favorites. There's a reason that I carry them over any other brand, but they do have very basic functionality. So I'm not going to cover what you use a set of linemen's for. You guys should know that. And if you don't, there's other videos for you out there. I'm just going to cover some of the key differences of why I like their linemen's and carry their linemen's. This set here is the VDE version. VDE just means that it's 1,000-volt insulated. It's the European standard for insulation. It's great. It does all the stuff that you expect a set of linemen's to do. They have some excellent cutters on here. They cut fantastically, grabbing, twisting. They last, they're durable. Outside of that, a couple of special features. You can see this hole here is actually circular, and you're actually able to deburr the outside of conduit up to 3/4 with that on the outside. You just open it up a little bit, put it on the conduit, twist it, and it deburrs the outside. I use my Cobras for that. I don't actually use my linemen's, but I have at one point, and it's pretty efficient and it works well. I like that they've put that feature on there. I love their VDE handles, not just because of the safety rating, but because they're ergonomic. They feel great in my hand. This yellow is a softer rubber. It's got a little bit of texture to it, and the red's a harder plastic, but these just feel great in my hand. And so I've absolutely loved that. They have a ton of different options. So you can have this in the VDE, you can have it in the Comfort Grip as well, which I've carried for some time. And they also have a dipped handle version. Personally, I don't like dipped tools. You're not going to see a ton of dipped handles in this lineup. It's just a preference that I have. So if you like dipped tools, go for it. And the other thing that I love is that all of their tools come loose like this. There is no break-in period. Obviously, this isn't a new pair. You can see the damage and wear and tear on these, but they all come like this. There isn't a break-in period, which was one of the most frustrating things buying new tools, was having to like work them in for weeks. These come loose. They come open. You don't have to put a bunch of WD-40 or Ballistol on them. They come like this. I think that's absolutely fantastic, and I really appreciate that from the manufacturer. Next up, diagonal cutters. One of the main reasons that I love these diagonal cutters is because they do all the diagonal cutter stuff that you want. They cut, which is great. They last. They're super, super sharp. They've been great, okay? Outside of that, they also offer a very large range of options, like this 10-inch set right here, which has been great. Having that extra leverage is fantastic. Again, I love the handles. They come with a bunch of different heads. You can get the angled head. You can get the straight head. They've got the 8-inch versions. They've also got the 10-inch versions. Again, in this new Comfort Grip, which if you guys are looking at anything from Knipex that has the newer handles to it, I do suggest you get the newer handles because they are so ergonomic. They're not insulated. They're the Comfort Grip, but this new version, you can tell because it's got the 3 layers on there. It's got this little gray part up here. But what it'll allow for you to do is they have these extends, Knipex extends. All their things have X's in them and they're strange, but they're super sick and they work well. You can see in here, I've just got 2 markers. I've got the black and the white, which tells me which pliers these are. These are going to be rolling out on all of their new dipped handles as well. And there's also a tether attachment, which I don't tether my tools ever, so this doesn't matter for me. And again, I think the thing that I love so much about these specifically, again, it's the variety, the size. You actually have a 10-inch diagonal cutter, which is fantastic. And then the handles, they're just ergonomic. They feel great in my hands. I like the way they look and they perform well. Now, onto basically the bread and butter of Knipex in my mind. These are the best water pump pliers that I've ever used. Now, a couple of things that make this plier so much drastically different than traditional water pump pliers that have straight jaws and tongue and groove, what we would call a channel lock if you're from my neck of the woods. That's what this type of plier was always called. I didn't even know there was a difference. These are 1,000 times better. The reason why is because of the shape of their head. The main function for this plier is to grip and to pull and to turn. And so the head on these, you can see it actually is shaped to hold round objects, things that actually are circular, like conduit, nuts, bolts, things like that. And so these teeth are all directional. So these teeth don't work if you backwards. They work much, much better forwards though. They're incredibly aggressive. The grip on these is, it's so much better. And that's the name of the game for these pliers, is grip. So if you're looking for the best grip, this is it. A couple of other things that make these fantastic. The push button is probably my favorite addition. I like this style so much better. It's easier to adjust. It's quicker. I definitely don't find myself, like, these don't ever slip out of place. So if I'm running 3/4 conduit, that's typically like what I'm running. I've got these set to a specific size. They stay there, and they stay there all day. They don't slip in and out. They're stuck there. I don't have to worry about it. I love the push button. It's a fantastic upgrade from the just traditional tongue and groove style. They're also much smaller and lighter. You can see the head on these is pretty thin, and just overall, they're not very clunky. They're pretty thin. The handles are thin. They are ergonomic. They do fit in my hand well, but being lighter and smaller and thinner, first of all, allows you to get into places that are tighter. Also, it allows for less fatigue. If you're working overhead all day and these are 25% lighter, it's going to be 25% better on you. That's just how it goes. I know some guys who like the heavier channel locks because they can beat like a hammer with them. Honestly, that's fine if that's what you're into, but if these are for gripping and they grip better, isn't that what? It doesn't make sense to me, but fine. This is the 10-inch version. They also have they have everything from smaller, I believe like 6-inch versions that are like EDC, all the way up to the traditional like 7.5, 10, 12, and then it goes to the 16, which is this XL set. And then they also have the 22-inch or something like that, the XXL. These things are absolutely massive. All the mechanisms are the same. I really like the 10-inch versions, especially when it comes to price. These are one of the lower priced Cobras. When you should get to the 12-inch ones, they start to become much more expensive. And honestly, the 10-inch Cobras really do just about most of what I need outside of doing larger stuff with the 16 or the XXLs. So you guys, I would definitely check these out if you haven't. This is one tool that if you make the switch from a traditional tongue and groove style of plier to this, you're gonna love it. Outside of getting used to the weight being different, it being lighter, I think some people always associate that with being cheaper. These are not cheap. They're super high quality, and the performance on these is just better. One of the most creative on the list, and probably my favorite upgrade, it's going to be the pliers wrench. This is going to be the 7-inch pliers wrench from Knipex. And if you've never seen one of these, it's basically like an adjustable wrench on steroids. I'll say it every single time. It does everything that an adjustable wrench does, but just better. It has the push button, so you don't have to adjust it with your thumb by twiddling it around. You can just go from completely shut to completely open, just like that, so easily. And these actually have movement on them, okay? One of my favorite features about these are these jaws stay parallel. So they're always going to stay facing towards one another. And there's actually movement on the plier itself. So when you open these handles, they actually expand. And when you close them, they actually close. First of all, this gives you a ton of leverage. There's like a 10 times lever power to that. So basically you have 10 times the force of what you're putting down because of the levers in this, which is cool. Basically allow you to straighten stuff out. If you do have anything that's kind of out of whack, you can put it inside of this and kind of just squeeze down, and you have quite a bit of force to actually straighten stuff out with these flat jaws. And they're flat, so you're not going to mar up things like fittings and different things that are either visible or that you have some sort of protective painting on or protective finish on. You're not going to actually mar those up if you use these instead. The other part of this is that you can actually rotate these. So when you put this on a nut or a bolt, You don't have to actually take these off and readjust them if you're in a tight spot. You can just open the handle up and continue to turn and actually have a ratcheting function on this set of pliers, which is so much easier than what you have to do with an adjustable wrench. These are going to be the same as the Cobras when it comes to sizes and styles. They have everything from the smallest of like 4 or 5 inch plier wrenches that are more of an EDC, all the way up to some larger styles of plier wrenches. I actually have the 10-inch pair right here with the chrome plated and they're a VDE handle. Is the VDE handle necessary for these? No. But do I like it? Yes. Honestly, am I going to be doing anything I need to have this insulated with? No. But the handles are ergonomic. I like the way that they fit in my hands, and so I got them. And honestly, no regrets here. I was a little bit worried they were going to be a little bit bulkier than the Comfort Grip, but that hasn't been an issue so far. And I love the 10-inch versions for fittings. There's just so much you can do with these, and it's honestly, it's so much leverage too. It's really so easy to put these on just about anything and crank away nuts, bolts, connectors, couplings, you name it. These things fit on it as long as there's a flat surface. This is a fantastic option. Let's talk about wire strippers, you guys. These Knipex forged wire strippers have really done a number on the market here. I've seen a lot of people with these. I've been loving these for years. They function really well. They are, again, kind of expensive for what you pay for wire strippers. They do everything that wire strippers are supposed to do. They strip super well. Outside of that, the cutters on these are just by far the best feature about these, and probably the best cutters on any wire stripper that I've used. The shears on these are just absolutely so sharp, so deadly. I cut MC cable with these all day, no issue. You do have to open them pretty wide because of the beaks on the shears, but these things are absolutely fantastic. They also have a wide head, so typically I don't even carry my linemen's in my pouch anymore, but these actually, you can actually twist wires with this. Personally, I kind of wish this was a needle nose. That's a personal preference. I know a lot of people love this flat head, so you can use that instead of your linemen's. I think I would rather have more of like a maneuverable plier with these than the flat head, but people love them. It does strip down to 12 stranded, 10 solid. I do wish it went down one more because I see a lot of 10 stranded in commercial lighting circuits. So that part of it is a little bit of a bummer for me. They've also made their bolt cutters threadless, so you don't actually have to thread your bolts in, but they do still cut. They cut really well, easily, but you don't actually have to thread it all the way in. Probably the cheapest and one of my little, this is my little favorite hideaway tool that I just don't know why more people don't have. But this is the dismantling tool from Knipex. I still remember when I found this tool, we were retrofitting lights in a warehouse. There was a bunch of SO whips. It was horrible. We had to strip them all. And I found this baby, and I'm telling you, it's just so much better, so much easier, so much more effective. And it's really not that expensive at all. It's super small. I keep one of these in my bag all the time. It strips large cable or cord. Now all you have to do is push this up, and you put this inside of your thing here, and you can change the blade length. There's the blade in there, but basically you can customize it so that it's not cutting into your conductors. So now that I've got the blade length set correctly, we're just going to go ahead and throw this on. We'll give it a couple twirls, and then we just drag it out, and it cuts this perfectly, and it just boom. No scratches, no nicks on any of the conductors inside. It's super easy to adjust and to actually set. It's super quick. This works on large cables as well, and it's so much faster. I like it a lot better. First of all, it's way safer than using a utility knife. Obviously, that works. It'll always work. It'll always be the way. But for something like this, to make those pulls a little bit easier, to make those strips just a little bit faster, quicker, safer, I really like the dismantling tool, especially when it comes to things like cord, where they're a little bit trickier to strip. You don't want to damage those conductors inside. This is pretty much the only way that I'll do this now. It's just so much easier and so much faster. These pliers have gotten me out of a pinch way too many times to count now. These are the twin grip pliers from Knipex. There's a couple of things that are absolutely fantastic about these pliers. Now, the big thing, the whole reason that I keep these in my bag is because on the edge here, you can see there's actually circular opening. It's got teeth in there. This is so you can get stripped screws or bolts or nuts and actually twist them out. Typically, I used to try to do this with my linemen's, and it was like a quarter of as effective, okay? This is just way better. Not only does it give you the front, not only does it give you this front opening here, but you also have the teeth on the side as well, which just allows basically to use these like the Cobras, like another form of a wrench to turn and twist and grab, pliers, pretty much anything you want to with these. There is also this adjustable button here. So these aren't just one size, but they actually have 3 different functions. So you can open these up to a pretty wide range. This is the 8-inch version. They also have a new 6-inch version here and a 10-inch version as well. I really like the smaller version of these a lot. They are going to be out in the new Comfort Grip handles. I've seen the 10-inch versions and the newer Comfort Grip handles, which is pretty sweet. These next ones are a personal favorite of mine. These are the Cobalt cutters, and these are the XXL. This is going to be the 10-inch version of the Cobalt cutters. The traditional style is 8 inches, which I just upgraded to these not too long ago. These work great for anything you don't want to ruin your diagonal cutters on. Anything from nails, screws, bolts, chain, you name it. If you don't want to ruin your diagonal cutters on it, these are the pliers for you. I've used these to cut, I don't know how many different things. I really like the 10-inch versions because you can actually get 2 hands on these, and there's just a ton of power, and they're sharp. They last for forever. I haven't had this pair for very long. I have had this 8-inch pair for probably about 4 years now, and they've been fantastic. These don't open quite as smoothly as the linemen's do, but they're definitely not stuck in any way. It's just a really tight tolerance. That being said, I love them. I really love the Comfort Grip too. I wish I had the 10-inch Comfort Grip, but I don't. I just have them in the 8 right now. They have been absolutely fantastic. And I've tried other brands of these handheld bolt cutters, and I was really disappointed. I actually spent like $50-some on a pair from another really reputable brand. They chipped like within 2 days, and I was just cutting like a nail, and I was like so sad that I wasted all my money. So do yourself a favor, just get the Knipex version. Just trust me on it. They're literally, it was the other brand that is like known for this, and it wasn't it. So, and before we get to the tools that I am going to tell you not to get, these are the Knipex shears. You guys, not a whole lot of crazy stuff going on here, but I love these, and I find myself picking them up so often. Pretty much anytime I get to use these, I'm happy. But basically, they have a little blade on them. The front of them is just like a scissor, basically. It's great for string, paper, literally just everyday things that you use that you like don't have scissors for in your bag. You can actually get 2 fingers in here, and they're pretty ergonomic, especially compared to the American version of like the scissors that we have. Those are garbage. So 2 fingers, and you also have a thumb. Honestly, I have pretty big hands too, and these are pretty comfortable for me. It takes a lot of use for me to get tired in these. So I love that. They also come in this little case here, which is fantastic. So that way, if I just want to throw this on my belt, if I want to throw this in my pouch so I'm not damaging my pouch, because this is pretty sharp here, I can do that and just throw in this little loop in the back in one of my pockets, and it's good to go. But it also just sits in the front of my tech pack here and stays out of the way. And that way, when I do lift this up, it just closes real nicely. Now for the 3 that I would avoid. Starting off hot and heavy. This is the worst Knipex tool that I've ever had, ever. I wanted to like this knife so much. It looks so cool. It looks ergonomic. It just matches all my stuff. I love Knipex. Like, I have never seen a bad tool from Knipex until this one here. Now, I had some British guy yell at me online saying that this is a really useful tool and they use this a lot overseas. But this is used somewhere else, not in my field specifically. However, for me, the blade is just super dull and honestly just unusable. It feels really cheap, and I don't understand. That being said, this is the only tool I've ever had from Knipex that I felt that way. I wanted it to be cool. It wasn't. If you want a cool knife from Knipex, the Strix is pretty cool. It's got the breakaway blades here. It's got a spine to it. But honestly, I mean, it's not my favorite. I don't absolutely love the Knipex, but I do absolutely love their ratcheting 3-in-1. This thing, however, has a price tag north of $100, and so it's also kind of hard to justify. I love this tool. I don't think it's for everybody. It's definitely not a replacement for this. I really just wanted a cool Knipex knife to match the rest of my cool Knipex stuff, and this one wasn't it, you guys. Avoid these knives from Knipex. The second one I would avoid isn't a bad tool. It's going to be their needle nose, and honestly, I love needle nose. I do a lot of panel work, different things with controls, all the fun stuff that requires just small movements and being precise. And I've found myself, I don't even carry a pair of needle nose in my bag anymore. I just carry the installation pliers because they're so much more useful than the needle nose. There's just a ton more functionality. Number one, on the head here, they don't actually have teeth up front, which is one of the big things that I love about these. So you can actually grab wires without damaging insulation because there's a little bit of room up here that doesn't have teeth to them. So you can actually like maneuver and manipulate wires without damaging their insulation. That part of it is huge for me. The cutters on these are also so much better, like way ahead of any other needle nose cutter that I've found. These are shears. These are going to cut MC cable, which is, I also use these a ton for MC because of how well they cut it. It also strips 14 and 12 solid, which again is going to land right in that perfect line for MC because it's typically 12 solid. It just adds a little bit more functionality to the plier itself. So it's not just a needle nose with some horrible cutting pliers on it. I literally hate the way that they cut. So these, I find myself actually like wanting to use these, loving these. They're great. They've been fantastic for me for a while now. This is the insulated set here, the VDE version. Again, they have a ton of different versions. They have a comfort grip and I believe a dipped as well. But I would definitely check these out instead of the traditional needle nose style. And last but not least, the tool that I would avoid used to be one of my favorites. This is the step cutter from Knipex. You guys, these were my favorite shears for years. Despite their size, they cut so extremely well. I actually avoided them for a long time because of their size. And I thought, you know, there's no way. But these steps in here actually work so well. However, these have been pretty much replaced unless you're looking for a small set. The Knipex Step Cutter XLs are by far my favorite shears now for a couple different reasons. It's a much bigger, beefed up version of the traditional step cutter, and it's got a couple features that just make this thing hard to beat, especially for cutting. You can see there's two different cutting jaws here. So there's the front that'll actually allow you to nibble at bigger cables to start basically getting away at it so you can actually chomp down on it with the shear. And there are steps in this shear here, but one thing they've done is they've added a beak to this side and not to this side. This other side's flat, which what that'll allow for you to do is if you open these up, you don't actually have to open them as far to get them as open. With the traditional style, if there are two beaks, what that means is you have to continue, like these would still be touching right here at this point, versus when that side is actually closed, they, you know, stop making contact about here. They cut so well. I love the steps in there actually do add so much functionality. They're super sharp. They cut, like I said, better than any other shear that I've used. I'm a huge fan of these. They also come in the new comfort grip handles. You can see they've got the little tags on the end here, but these are the 3 style of comfort grip with this extra texture up here. But I've loved these handles so far. So if you do want the VDE version, I do love this version. This is the version I carry, but they do also offer the new comfort grip, which is just chef's kiss. Wonderful. It feels great in your hand. And if you want to see how I carry these tools and the rest of my loadout, you guys can head up to this video. Remember, it's all for its glory, and I'll see you guys on the next one.